video from the New York Times that they say that they have authenticated and looks pretty darned authentic shows not one, but two missiles hitting Flight 752 and killing everybody on board. That is the Ukrainian airline that went down in Tehran. It shows one missile firing, hitting the aircraft. The aircraft's still airborne, but obviously in distress, and a second missile hitting it. So we have that. Again, is it an accident if you fire twice? Yeah, maybe. I suppose that is possible if you misidentify where it is coming from or what kind of an aircraft it is. If it's giving off a signature that you think tends to look like an American bomber or what have you. The poll, again, that I put up on Twitter at RealKCH, was it beginning of the week, I guess it was? You all said, I should say the majority of you said that you believe that the Iranians deliberately shot it down to frame the United States. And now, of course, we know that the Iranians shot it down. The Iranians have admitted that they shot it down. They said it was human error when they shot it down. Today, Iran is now saying that we are responsible, not we as in them, but as in the United States is responsible because we launched a cyber attack against them and we shot it down. So they're back to blaming the United States for shooting the aircraft down. Now we've got this video showing two of their missiles hitting the aircraft, and of course they are blaming us. Iran has also claimed that it arrested the source of the video. So the first video, which we all had, shows the missile flying up, hitting the airplane, exploding, and then the airplane going down and then exploding on the ground. That's the first video that everybody saw. That's what kind of blew the lid off of this entire thing. Now, Iran claims that they've arrested the person who posted that video. What more evidence do you need that this was intentional? Iranian officials claimed on Wednesday that they had arrested a person believed to have taken video footage of the final moments of Ukrainian International Airlines Flight 752, which appeared to show it aflame before crashing. Now, that would have been after the second missile hit it. And the New York Times video that they posted today matches the videos that we had already. All right. The video challenged Iran's initial explanation for the plane crashing shortly after departing Tehran International Airport. Remember, they said it was mechanical failure, which nobody believed. The plane was too new, had just undergone maintenance. The airline has a perfect record, and there was no mayday, particularly compared to the speculation Iran ultimately admitted to, that the Iranian military used a surface-to-air missile to shoot it out of the sky. Now, the sky is, again, largely dark. There's a small speck in the distance. It appears to be the plane. A projectile clearly hits that speck. It creates an explosion, giving the impression that a missile or other weapon targeted it. The video appeared online before Iran admitted to shooting down the plane and after an Iranian preliminary report had blamed a spontaneous engine fire for the deaths. Okay? Now, of course, Iran released that report having not been able to access, so they said, any black box data. So they couldn't access the flight data recorder or the cockpit recorder. The civilian airliner was flying to Kyiv. I don't know how to say that. Last week, when shortly after takeoff, caught fire, ultimately crashed, killed all 172 aboard. So now, the BBC is citing Iranian media, reporting that the Revolutionary Guard, which, again, is designated a terrorist organization, had arrested a person for posting the video of that flight burning in the air and crashing. Fox News then corroborated that report, stating that Iranian outlets expected the imprisoned person to face national security charges for allegedly filming the video. Like I said, what other evidence do you need that this was intentional? Iran lied about it from the very beginning. They immediately covered up the crash site. Remember, they cleaned everything out. They bulldozed the site, just like the FBI did to that terrorist training compound in New Mexico, the one with the dead kids in it. They went ahead and refused to turn over the black box data to anybody. Okay. Then they said you couldn't access the black box data because it had been damaged. Then they said they will go back and look at the black box data after they had already released their initial preliminary findings of engine failure, after having already told everybody mechanical failure before they even were at the crash site was the reason for all of this. They denied cleaning up the crash site. Remember, they denied all of that. Would not allow any inspectors to come in and take a look at it. They continuously denied any involvement in shooting it down when the United States came out and said, we've got information and satellite data that shows that they shot this thing down. We actually saw them target the aircraft and fire at it. Iran says that's not true. And then Iran challenged the United States to produce the evidence, which now is being accepted by multiple countries, including the UK and Canada. The Ukrainians actually withdrew their initial assessment that, they took Iran's word for it as mechanical failure. They withdrew that statement and said they now believed that it was shot down. The Ukrainians were also denied access to the site to be able to evaluate whether or not it was a Russian weapon that brought it down, which they have great experience with. So then you had the Iranians saying that the American proof that it was shot down was not real. And they demanded that the United States produce that evidence to prove to everybody that it wasn't manufactured. And then we have this video that comes out, and Iran denies the video's authenticity. So then we ended up finding out that Iran did shoot it down. They admitted to it. They called it human error after all of this that had been going on and all of these denials, okay? Now we find another video which shows that they shot it twice. So now the human error bit is in question, right? And lo and behold, this week, they arrest the person that they think took the video of the airplane aflame after it had been struck by the first missile, and you see it get struck by the second. So now the airplane crashes. They've arrested that person and are expecting to charge that individual with jeopardizing Iranian national security. How? By releasing proof that you are liars? Oh, I haven't even gotten into the protesters and shooting protesters and all that other stuff. Let's see. Canada's CBC broadcaster on Wednesday said that he had received threats for publishing the video. He also insisted that his source had not been arrested and that he had confirmed the source's freedom Wednesday morning after reports of the arrest surfaced. He left open the possibility that Iranian authorities arrested the wrong person for sharing the video. Okay, so a Canadian journalist is saying that his source for the video is still free and is safe as of Wednesday morning, all right? Which just means that Iran is starting to round people up and they're hunting for the individual who released the video. Whether they're free or arrested is irrelevant. The fact that the Iranian government is trying to find them and charging them with crimes for filming an aircraft on fire, which I think in the modern era, I think any of us would probably grab our phones and there's not much we can do. We might as well film this thing and at least have some kind of documentary evidence that could be used by authorities later or to get clicks on social media, whichever your motivation ends up being, I guess. But they're now hunting people down who they think released this footage. And now we've got additional footage that shows that they shot the aircraft twice. It looks like those of you who said that Iran intentionally shot down the aircraft in order to blame the United States, it looks like you were the ones that were correct, and it was the majority of you, especially since now today Iran is saying, no, the U.S. launched a cyber attack on us, and they're the ones responsible for the aircraft going down. Got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.